this video you are going to experience the best charging Tesla ever and the most efficient electric SUV ever made. Together this is a fantastic car, and I just want to make sure that you get the BYD Blade model if you're interested in it. So before watching this video or after, please watch the video I linked above. That video will show you exactly how you can make sure you get the BYD Blade model when you're ordering the rear-wheel drive from Giga Berlin. The problem is that Tesla has started shipping the Cattle and the BYD Blade model from Giga Berlin, and there is no way aside from the VIN, which is the vehicle identification number, to differentiate those two. So please watch that video. Okay, let's go. Just took delivery of this rear-wheel drive made in Berlin Model Y with the BYD Blade battery, and it's time to drive it over a mountain immediately. So we just have to go now. It's raining, it's forecasted storms and snow and ice, and this is a rear-wheel drive LFP car with quite low temperatures over the mountain. But we have studded winter tires on this car, and we will see how that will affect the consumption. Let's just move away from this rainy weather and up until we reach the mountains where there should be snow instead, which is much better. Well, I just set the language to English for you so we can see what type of car this is. Okay, we go here, we go to software, we go to additional vehicle information. That's where you see what this Tesla really is. So you can see a full self-driving computer, that's normal. Heat pump, it has a lithium iron phosphate battery, and if we click on the information here, we will get the owner's manual in Spanish, it seems. Okay, I don't know, let's not do that. Anyways, lithium iron phosphate battery means that it can be charged to 100% more often than the normal NCA cells. We have the AMD Ryzen computer, that's the newest, fastest one, which is nice. We have a permanent magnet rear motor and tow capability, so no front motor on this one. This is a rear-wheel drive, like you can see on the VIN here, XP7, that's Giga Berlin, and the B here also means Berlin. It is the ES, which means E is the BYD Blade battery, F is the Cattle battery for the LFP model. That only applies to the LFP model, of course. The weather in Oslo is here, and you can see that that's where we are going, by the way. So yeah, it's rain and snow, and yeah, enough for it to melt, but maybe not everything. So when we drive during the a little bit late, it can actually freeze and be super slippery. So it'll be interesting to see how this rear-wheel drive car can do slippery conditions. But please keep in mind that we have studded winter tires, which should hold us on the road. It was delivered at 80%, so let's just put in Oslo here, see what happens. Where does this car want to charge? It wants to take that road. That road is actually closed, so I don't think it'll work out. Anyways, we can go to Gudvangen. That's fine. That's part of the road we're going. We will arrive there with 30% after driving 2 hours and 21 minutes, 160 kilometers. That means 40. Yeah, that's okay efficiency, I guess. This is a standard range car, by the way, so we might need to charge more often, but you will see the charging curve of this car. And I actually want to arrive with 30% because I want to see if it can ramp up to 170 kilowatts at 30%. It should be able to. So yeah, with a small battery, that's just awesome. Here you can see the entire trip. Bergen E16, which is the safe route right now. It's actually closed over Hardangervidda, which I have driven many times before. But we are still crossing a mountain, so it will still be bad conditions. Over here E16 and all the way here, really. So we are crossing Norway over the mountains. There is a mountain range going through here. So you always need to cross a mountain when driving from Bergen to Oslo, or west to east, or east to west. You can see that autopilot is calibrating since this is a brand new car. We're straight from delivery to the mountains. We have 80 kilometers on the odometer of this car. Our, let's see, if we go to trips here, trip B is the one I reset. Show in trip cards, so we can see it here. 66 kilometers driven and 159 watt-hour per kilometer, which is pretty nice considering that it's raining like crazy. I actually noticed that this car won't preheat to the supercharger, and I'm wondering if it actually has some new software compared to the one that I was actually driving and testing before, since that one was preconditioning and it overheated the battery, which caused a lower charging speed. This time it doesn't preheat the battery at all, and we are at about the same outside temperature as when I tested the BYD battery version. So I'm very interested to see what the charging speed is once we arrive at the supercharger. We are here at 29%, which is 1% less than the calculated, and that's fine. Okay, not a perfect parking. $31 kilowatts, 48 kilowatts, 62 kilowatts. We get some supercharging tips here, but I know this already. 163, 173 at 30%. I'm in a bit of a dilemma now because this will charge so fast that I'm not sure if I can go and get something to eat, and I really want to follow this charging to see what it looks like after a while. So we have 170 kilowatts still, and we are at 33%. So we started at 30, of course, that's important to note. We have been here for only a few minutes and we are already at 41%, and it has been holding 172 kilowatts from 30% to 42%, which is kind of insane, to be honest. While we are charging so insanely fast, I can activate auto steer, which has calibrated. Autopilot will have a double pole. I like to have the ability to use adaptive cruise as well. And other stuff to do is to... Okay, I can hear the cooling fans now. I like to set the equalizer here. And I like to set it to what Tesla Hong Kong recommends. They have setup which works really nice. Let's see if I can find it. Here we go. This setup, Tesla Hong Kong has a setup that works very nice. You can see that it has the premium sound system since you see the subwoofer here. Anyways, this should be -1. This should be -2. This one should be 0 and this one should be 1. And this one should be 1.5. This is the recommended setup from Tesla Hong Kong, and it works so nice in my Model 3. And I'm not an audio guy, so yeah. Look at that speed at 52%. We are still at 170 plus kilowatts. This is... Wow, I'm so impressed by this battery. This car should be faster on road trips than my Model 3. It's more efficient. It's insane. At 55% we start to throttle, but we still are over 150 kilowatts at 56%. This is awesome for such a small battery and super efficient car. I'll just press continue trip. It says we are going here, but that's not the case. Let's see, we light a supercharger 2%. Okay, so we will charge a little bit more then. But we have just been here for, I don't know, 10 minutes or something, and we are already, no, not 10 minutes even, less than 10 minutes. Yeah, but this car charges so great that I'll actually stop. I'll drive over to the gas station to get something to eat, and I'll stop there. And yeah, I could have run there while charging, but I wanted to log this fantastic charging curve. It's wow, I'm so impressed. 133 still at 64%. By the way, this car is so well screwed together. I have driven a 2021 Model Y long range, and this one feels so much better. I think the German factory really knows how to make cars now. 67% still over 100 kilowatts. This is so much better than my Model 3 long range with the NCA battery. This is a beautiful location, by the way. Look at the mountains there. And the car is already dirty. It looks okay in white, doesn't it? Especially with the black trim. You can see the studded tires here. These are fantastic, by the way. The driving dynamics are awesome. It works so nice, even though it's kind of slippery out here. The car says 11% at Leira Supercharger, which is the next stop. So I'll just unplug the car, and I'll head over to get some food, and then I'll continue the trip. So we lose a little bit of time by not eating while we're charging, but the station is quite far away there, so I'll just drive over there and park outside, like you do when you are not waiting for charging. Super quick authentication and stuff, like always. And the new seats, I haven't seen these seats before. They feel amazing. So nice. And this is a magnet in the Model Y. So they're starting to refresh the car, and I know there will be a massive refresh as well. This is the problem with having no ultrasonic sensors. You get park assist degraded when it's raining, like now, which yeah, it kind of sucks, but you know, there are no options for having a car with ultrasonic sensors from Tesla anymore, sadly. Just got a hot dog and some soda with sugar to get me through the drive. And let's take a look at the stats. So we are looking at trip B here, and we are at 161 watt-hour per kilometer. So awesome efficiency, considering that we have been driving in snowy weather, or slush, snow and rain, and up into the mountains here. So yeah, kind of interesting. 156 kilometers driven and a lot more to go. We have an average efficiency for this trip at 163 watt-hour per kilometer. We have gone 189 kilometers in total so far, and we are on our way to Oslo. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about this car really, and why it has some interesting stuff that looks bad on paper but is in reality better, like the battery. So the battery is smaller than the long range, of course, and the long range have two motors, so it uses more power when it moves. So The result of that is that the long range has more range, but not that much more range. It is limited due to the extra weight, of course, but also the extra motor. So here we have just one motor, and we have the LFP battery. The LFP BYD blade battery, to me, so far from this one charging session and the experience I have with the one I already tested on this channel, is that the battery is simply better than the NCA battery from LG and possibly Panasonic that Tesla has put into the Model Y and the Model 3, the 2170 cells. I plugged in at 30%, it held 170 kilowatts to like 55%, and still held over 100 kilowatts for way more than that. It charges so extremely fast. And it's important to note that not only does it charge fast, it has a freaking small battery. It has a small battery, so it's full fast, and you might think that that's a bad thing, and it isn't, because the efficiency is 165 watt-hour per kilometer. We are driving in the wintertime. We are driving in the mountains. We are climbing mountains right now, and the current efficiency is 165 watt-hour per kilometer for this trip. Give me another electric SUV that can do that, and yeah, there are none. This car is super efficient. Okay, and another downside, aside from the range, I have already debunked that the range doesn't matter that much. The range matters from home to the first DC fast charger on a road trip. After that, this battery charges so fast, and you are not charging to 100% anyways on road trips, that it doesn't matter after that. So the first charging stop from home to the first charger matters. And after that, it doesn't really matter. And the difference is barely anything anyways. So in reality, it doesn't really matter that much on the first stretch either. So let's debunk the myth that you need the larger battery of the long range. You really don't, in my opinion. Okay, and another downside, supposedly, of this car is, of course, that it's rear-wheel drive. And to be honest, I can't debunk that. That's a downside. It's better to have four-wheel drive when you are, for example, climbing hills that are slippery. It's better with four-wheel or all-wheel drive. And the reason for that is that you have more options for grip. So the front wheels can also be able to find grip, not just the rear wheels. In braking and downhill, it doesn't matter at all. So braking and downhill is some of the most dangerous situation you have when you have the roads that are slippery with ice and snow and slush. That doesn't matter if you have rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Yeah, of course you have brakes on all wheels, but when you are climbing hills, it's better. The compromise I did with this car is to choose studded winter tires. You can hear me now, I'm talking in the car, and I can't hear the studs at all, because this car has much better sound insulation than before. It feels pretty awesome on the road, to be honest, in terms of comfort, not in terms of sportiness. Just feels great to drive with these studded tires. I haven't had any slips or anything where I felt like, oh, I should have had an all-wheel drive car. We will see now that we climb up to the highest altitude. We are actually going over a mountain pass with pretty bad weather, and I'll save my judgment until I have driven that pass with a rear-wheel drive Model Y here. So the next argument is the power. The power of this car is much less than long range. You have 300 horsepower on the rear wheels, and the long range has almost 500 horsepower combined. And of course, it's more fun to drive a car with higher horsepower and acceleration. This one has less, but it still feels very good for a SUV, and you can pass anyone you want, regardless of the power of the car. But if you need and want more power, you have to actually go for the long range. There is no substitute, and I won't argument that this car is better in that regard. In terms of option that you get in the car, you get a premium sound system in the rear-wheel drive, so the sound system is the same. and of course it is cheaper. Aside from that, they are very similar cars. The same amount of cameras, the same software, the same processor for the software, and like the same windows and stuff. You lose the fog lights on the rear-wheel drive. Doesn't really matter that much, but it's worth noting that you lose the fog lights. And that has been a trend for Tesla for a very long time, to just lose the fog lights on the rear-wheel drive cars. So let's talk about this car a little bit as a German-built Tesla. And I have to say that I'm impressed. The door thunk feels much nicer than the early China-built that was sent to Norway, which I have tried and driven for many thousand kilometers. There are no squeaks and rattles. There were no issues when I picked it up. It feels solidly screwed together. Not as good as the Highland Model 3 or the upgraded Model 3, but it's almost there. There is just a few things with the door thunk and stuff that's not as good, but everything feels very nicely screwed together, and at this price it's better than expected, if that's allowed to say about Teslas. You get all the floor mats, you get everything that you get with the premium interior in the rear-wheel drive, as well as the long range. And yeah, the sound system is as I said, the premium one, and it's fantastic. I love the sound system in the Model Y. It feels similar to the Highland Model 3, to be honest, but the Model 3 Highland has probably a little bit better once it's broken in. I hadn't had the time to break it in, so you know, the speakers get a little bit better with time. These ones in the Model Y are just fantastic. I love the sound system. It's so well balanced, and it's such a likable soundstage in this car. It's easy to like. So let's take a look at the driving on the mountain pass. Can this car, rear-wheel drive car, can it handle snow? Can it handle ice that we will encounter once we get up on the mountain pass? That's the big question for a lot of Norwegians when choosing a rear-wheel drive over an all-wheel drive car. And many people just choose all-wheel drive because it's better. It's simply better. So yeah, but you lose efficiency and it's higher priced, and you don't get this fantastic BYD blade battery, which I have charged once now, and I didn't have time to do anything because it held 170 kilowatts for so long. And if you know Tesla's charging curves, they're not the best in the business at all. But this one, at this price point, is by far the best in the business. We are on the mountain, so this is the perfect location to test the capabilities of the rear-wheel drive Model Y. Is it good enough for these conditions? Then rear-wheel drive is good enough for many other people that have snowy and icy roads. It's 1 degree outside, which means it's wet snow and wet ice. It's around this temperature where you get the most slippery roads, if the weather is right or wrong, depending on who you ask. But in these conditions, it's not enough snow here for it to be in any kind of danger with these studded winter tires. If I try to accelerate out of the turns, no problem, I still have grip. And I still can accelerate like crazy. Well, let's see if the weather worsens, and then I'll do some more testing. So here it's more snow and less visibility. So you can see that the road is covered in snow and slush, and the visibility is low. So I have to keep a good distance to the car in front. If I want to, I can slide a little bit, but the car catches itself very, very fast here too. And due to the weight of the car, it weighs just about as much as the long-range version, really, because of the battery. The battery is smaller, but the battery is just as heavy as the long-range version. This is due to the LFP energy density. So when you have a heavy car with studded tires, you get, well, the studs are pushed into the ground really, and you get so much grip. It feels almost like driving in the summer, and if I accelerate, I see that the traction control kicks in a little bit, and then it finds grip and it moves forward. Yeah, surprisingly fast for a rear-wheel drive car, and this is due to the tires, of course. In terms of noise from the tires, these Hakkapeliitta R10 EV tires, which are just Hakkapeliitta 10 EV tires, are studded tires for electric vehicles from Nokian. I can't hear the studs at all. Even though I accelerate in turns, it feels very well planted. I would really like to try this with studless winter tires. I'm used to studless winter tires and I like their properties. It allows you to slide a little bit, and yeah, the Tesla traction control system is usually adjusted in such a manner that you get a little bit of slide and then it kicks in. But it's super fast to kick in as well, and it has control of the car. But it's still a fun car with tuned like a rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive. So this car doesn't feel that much different just because it's rear-wheel drive. All Teslas get a lot of power to the rear wheels immediately. Okay, so the wipers are going, even though there is nothing on the windows, so I'll just turn them off, because these cars ship with summer washer fluid. And what happens when you use summer washer fluid in the winter? Well, you freeze up the entire windscreen. I don't know why they ship with that to Norway, even though it comes from Germany. But I have some winter washer fluid that I'll put into the car. Feel safe, nothing to worry about. I think it's important to test this rear-wheel drive on really bad conditions and small roads where you have super steep slopes. This road doesn't have like super steep slopes, and that's where you might see a real benefit of the all-wheel drive. But since we have studded tires, and yeah, as I said, this is a fun car. It gives a little bit of wiggle on the rear, and then it gets you right back in and you don't feel unsafe. It's a very, very, very controlled slide when there is a slide at all. Okay, we are nearing our second supercharger for this trip, and our efficiency has been 165 watt-hour per kilometer for this entire journey that we started in Bergen, or in the Bergen area. So we have driven around 300 kilometers right now, and I have to say that I'm super happy with how this car drives with studded tires on the snow here. Of course, you can get a little bit of slip, but it's never anything dangerous, and it's super controllable. So super happy with the way this car drives and the way you get so much grip when you're climbing as well. I can compare it to the rear-wheel drive ID bus, but it didn't have studded winter tires and just normal winter tires, and it's around 500 kilograms heavier than this car. That one was horrible to drive, to be honest, during winter, due to the weight of the car, and it doesn't have enough horsepower to push the weight and stuff like that. But this car, wow, so fantastic. Really happy with it, and I can say that yeah, depending on your needs, you might just need studded tires instead of all-wheel drive. Anyways, the studded tires on this, I've said it before, are the Hakkapeliitta 10 EV tires, and they are so silent. So I can't hear them at all. So super happy with it. We have used 49 kilowatt hours of energy. Let's say this battery has around 55 kilowatt hours or more. I think it has around 50, also usable capacity. And we have driven 299 kilometers, 300 kilometers on 49 kilowatt hours. So we have almost used an entire battery to drive 300 kilometers. That might sound bad, but it really isn't. We have been driving in winter conditions, up and down, and climbing mountains. We are soon over the mountain, and yeah, so impressed with the efficiency. This car doesn't use energy to move, and that helps. The charging curve as well is amazing. So yeah, it gains kilometers faster than most cars, I would say. Real kilometers, since, you know, it's an efficient car. It's more efficient than my Model 3, which is a long range variant. So I just wanted to say that I'm super impressed, and we are around 40 minutes away from the Leira supercharger. Once we arrive there, we will arrive with around 14%. It was 11% estimated once we started. So it's a good estimation, I would say, 14%. Maybe a little bit lower if we gain a little bit more speed up ahead here. So yeah, I think 11% estimated was really great. And it's great that it can estimate this correctly, taking into account the weather. It has been shifting weather, the elevation, and yeah, the speed we drive. It's pretty amazing. Very good for beginners to have an accurate trip estimation. And here is an alert, Valdresflyet is closed. So that's a mountain pass that's closed. We are not going there, so that's fine. If you saw my road trip video to Lofoten, the first video there, all the chaos on the road, I think the episode is called, we were driving over the mountain pass that we are passing now, the Valdresflyet. And it's, yeah, super interesting to see how much chaos there was there. So it's understandable that it's closed now, because it has been really bad weather today. Now it's fine though, I must say. Beautiful snowy landscape as well. Yeah, can't really complain. This trip has gone like a dream. The thing with all-wheel drive is that a lot of Norwegian has to drive to their cabin, or they want to drive to their cabin, and often cabin roads are very steep and full of snow, and it might be beneficial to have more traction points when climbing the hill with an all-wheel drive car. And yeah, of course that's, you know, you can't have the same traction when climbing with a rear-wheel drive car, and I'm not able to test this today. So, but most people that need this capability know that they need that capability, of course. But for roads like these, honestly, I see no point in choosing an all-wheel drive car, yeah, unless you have the money to pay for it, and of course want to go for the best option. I can understand that. I had the same thought process with my Model 3 that I bought 2.5 years ago. So I have full understanding of that mindset of just wanting the best. And if the situation is suddenly super terrible and you need all-wheel drive or you want studless tires in the winter, of course, I can see that. But wow, I should phrase the explanation in a way that is better. So if you are interested in the capabilities of the BYD Blade battery that we have here with the flat charging curve, if you are interested in and want to pay 90k Norwegian kroners, like 8,000 euros less, and you are interested in this car for sure at this price point and not considering the all-wheel drive long-range version due to the price, I want to say that I'm not afraid of driving this car on conditions like these. And these conditions are normal winter conditions in Norway. I'm not afraid of that at all. And I wouldn't be afraid of it with studless tires, to be honest. But if you want to be extra secure, you can choose studs and these new fantastic Nokian tires. I can see that a lot of people are driving very slow, and I'm able to keep up with them and more here without issue. I don't know why this guy is driving so slow. Yeah, it is actually slippery here, but I'm not able to feel it due to Hakkapeliitta 10 EV tires. And I will always say that in general, tires matter much more than if you have front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, or all-wheel drive. Okay, so the car is actually preconditioning now. That's the first one for this trip. It's -3 degrees outside. 14% on arrival, that's perfect for this car. Actually, it doesn't really matter for this car. So let's plug in and see how much we get. 168, and we are on the 173 kilowatt curve that this car so awesomely has. 15%. Let's see, how long do we need to stay here? I need to get a new location to get to. It doesn't say, but it said that we need to charge for 15 minutes. 11 minutes to continue to get home. Wow, that means that the total charging time from Bergen to where we are going near Oslo is like 25 minutes maximum, the total charging time. Okay, I just ran in to get some Red Bull and we are at 76% state of charge with a 25% arrival. Way too much charging. It's charging way too fast. This is so impressive. I want to try to find a car wash since I'm delivering this car. I'll just look when we are on the way just to see if there is a car wash. Anyways, I'll just go through the stats right now and yeah, let me just go through the stats. 343 kilometers so far. We have used 56 kilowatt hours. That's an entire battery to go 343 kilometers. Which is very good considering that we have had such slippery roads. We have studded tires, up and down, windy conditions, snow, rain, everything. Awesome efficiency considering that. And you can see the odometer is just a little bit more than our trip, since this is a new car. It has throttled down to 53 kilowatts now. At 80%, which is fine because we had an awesome curve up here. I was supposed to go way too long ago. It's just too fast charging, too fast. So yeah, we'll just get on our way and look at this beautiful sunset. Wow, awesome views. Okay, we are live again. So let's go through some of the stats. We have driven 408 kilometers. That's we're closing in on the VLTP range of this car in terms of how long we have driven. That's 455 kilometers. We are now at 409 kilometers. Our average efficiency is 158 watt-hour per kilometer. And this is in speed limits. We have driven the speed limit all the way here and the speed limit plus. So no slow poking at all. That's just an amazing efficiency, isn't it? 158 watt-hour per kilometer. And for context, most of the zones here are 80 zones, so 80 kilometers per hour is the speed. But the average speed is much lower due to lower speed limits a lot of places, especially in villages and such, when driving through. By the way, all the people that are driving in the opposite directions are going to their cabin for the weekend, but I'm going in the into the Oslo area. So yeah, I'm not getting any of those. Anyways, 158 watt-hour per kilometer is just astonishing, I would say, for such a large vehicle. Or it isn't that large, but it has a lot of space and can really be an alternative to all the other SUVs on the market. Such awesome range, such awesome comfort, much more comfort than my Model 3, much more comfort than the earlier Ys. Fast charging, super fast charging. I'm super impressed. 170 plus kilowatts for like, I don't know, 30-40%. And then still good charging outside that 170 plateau. It doesn't matter if you plug in at 0 or at 20 or 30 or 10. It all works, very beginner friendly, doesn't need much preconditioning. The car doesn't precondition at all, just a little bit, because the battery will actually overheat if you precondition it. So perfect for cold temperatures, in my opinion. Maybe it will work worse actually if there is like 20 plus degrees outside. I'm not sure, but should be able to cool the battery as well. That's also preconditioning. We have to remember that it's not always about heating the battery, but also about cooling it, especially after DC fast charging sessions. The price is that is paid for this car is 444,000 Norwegian kroners, which includes these fantastic studded winter tires. I'm so impressed by these winter tires. The Hakkapeliitta 10 EV, they are fantastic. What, I can't hear that they are studded at all. It's more silent than my studless Model 3. It's super silent. It is proven that it's quite efficient. If not, the efficiency would just shoot into the sky, the watt-hour per kilometer, and we would get a lower efficiency if these tires were had a super high rolling resistance. Of course, they have higher rolling resistance than studless tires, but that just means that you will get more range. So, okay, let's test the high beams. High beams are okay. They are actually not that great. I would probably install a light bar like I did on my Model 3. But at this price point, it doesn't matter at all. Just add a light bar for like 6,000 Norwegian kroners, including all the install and everything, and you have fantastic high beams. But they work. They are not as bad as some other ones. They work, definitely. Rear-wheel drive works, no problem at all on these Norwegian roads, and it includes climbing on slippery roads, which is the usual problem for, you know, getting enough speed and traction to reach the top of the hill. No problem on these roads. Of course, there are scenarios where it won't work as well, but right now it works. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. I'm just impressed by this car at this price point. Nothing can beat it at this price point. There are better cars, of course, but not at this price point. It is just -1 outside right now. I'm sure it will perform great in -10, -20 and such, due to the battery is running hot when it's slowing down, not cold like the cattle battery, which are in the other rear-wheel drive from Shanghai and some from Berlin now. You have to check the VIN. I made a video on that. Watch my last video and you'll see it. Anyways, that battery was cold gating and this one is overheating instead. Not in a bad way, because you'd still get a good rate, a good curve, but that's the bottleneck. It's important to note that that's the bottleneck. So it's kind of interesting to see two different LFP batteries. Maybe the cattle one is better in summer, I don't know, but this BYD blade battery that's in this one is charging so fast. I was just in the store to grab a Red Bull. I went, you know, 14% I arrived with. I went out and we are over 70% state of charge when I go out to the vehicle. Actually, this car will just rack up idle fees for my normal stops. So I need to keep that in mind and have shorter stops. It's just super impressive. And the efficiency and everything, yeah. Fast charging doesn't mean anything if you can't use those kilowatt hours that you added in a good way. And this car does it better than anyone. Tesla is the efficiency killer. What a fantastic vehicle. Wow, I'm so impressed. I don't even want a Model Y. I like the sedans better. I don't want a SUV or crossover. But wow, this vehicle is, for the money, the price, the efficiency, the road trip ability of this car. You can just go everywhere. And you can go there fast. I don't know what to compare it to. At 440,000 Norwegian kroners, there are some ID4 trims that you can get. And I would definitely look at that. But please just compare the sheets. This one charges, this LFP battery, by the way, charges much better than, in my experience, all the ID cars. Maybe the ID7 is comparable. I don't know. I've heard the good things about the charging there. But it also needs to be better in all conditions, like cold conditions, hot conditions. And I don't trust the Volkswagen battery management or heating system as well as I trust the Tesla one.
Let's test rear-wheel drive up this hill. Oh no, icy hill. Oh no, no problem at all. And out here and out here, sliding. Oh, we lost grip and we have grip. So works fine with the rear wheel drive in snowy conditions as well and icy conditions. Okay, let's talk about where is the standard range rear wheel drive BYD battery Model Y made in Berlin. Where is this car better than the long range? So you already know it's more affordable, but where is it better? Well, it charges faster and is more efficient. So charges faster and more efficient together will make the car faster on road trips, since you charge fast and all the kilowatt hours added can make you drive fast, far. So it's faster on road trips, really. You can't go as far between charging stops as the long range if you, of course, wait out that charging, so you can get the maximum you can go away from the charger is more with the long range than the rear wheel drive, of course. But for total road trip time, this car is faster. If you're going from the south of Norway to the north, this car is faster. Because it's more efficient and it charges faster. It adds... Yes, you need more stops, of course. But when you can drive like 2.5 hours between stops here in Norway, does it really matter? Does it matter? No, it doesn't really matter. It is cheaper to own this car because it's more efficient. So the power that you pay for will make the car go further than the long range. In the long range you won't go as far per kilowatt hour. That's simple math. So this car is more affordable to own. Not only is it more affordable to own, it is more affordable to buy. The LFP battery will last longer. Well, I don't know if you're a type of guy that owns a car outside the battery warranty period, but this car is supposed to be such a car that you own until it dies. An LFP battery will typically last longer than an NCA battery. It's more durable. Another benefit of this car over the long range, where it simply is better, is daily range. You can charge it to 100% each day, and that will make you... It's not really better, it's the same daily range. That's more accurate to say. But this car can be charged to 100% daily. So every day you have 100% range, which is, yeah, similar to the 80% range of the long range one. And what does that mean? Well, in daily driving, if you use the car's battery during the day, if you use the entire car's battery during the day, it doesn't really matter if you have the long range or the LFP version that you have here. So those are the benefits. Let's talk about the drawbacks over the long range. Just to conclude this video. I'm so bad at concluding videos, and now I'm really trying my best after your comments on this. The Model Y long range is faster. It's faster from it doesn't go the faster top speed, but it's faster from 0 to 100, and it's more fun to drive. Simply, it's more fun. If you disregard that a rear-wheel drive car is kind of fun to have in the winter, but it's more fun to have fast acceleration. It's cool to have faster acceleration. I still think that this one has plenty of power, and even in slippery conditions I feel that I can pass vehicles fine. But yeah, you know, you pay for more power, more horsepower. It's a faster car, the Model Y long range, and it's a super fast car. Try to compare it to any other SUV from any other brand. You might be surprised that it's actually the fastest one in most cases, especially the Volkswagen ones, compared to the Volkswagen ones. And yeah, you get all-wheel drive as well in the long range, and all-wheel drive is better than rear-wheel drive. It's no denying that. So yeah, important to note that even though I talk this car up in the skies, that's due to the price point, and also due to the battery chem, which I love. It's faster on road trips. It's amazing. But yeah, all-wheel drive is better, especially when climbing hills. So it's a better car in that sense. The long range is also better when on the first stretch on a road trip. You get further to the far. You can go further from your house to the first fast charger on the trip. You can also go further from the fast charger to the next fast charger, but you typically don't do that because then you need to charge deep into the pack, which is not typical for road tripping, especially when you need to road trip for long distances. You want to stop for like 15 minutes or something, and then you don't get enough range to go any further than you would with this car on a road trip. But the first stretch from your home, when you are at 100% for those rare road trip charges, you will have the ability to go further. You can choose a fast charger that is further away, so you can get a long stretch on the start of your trip. And typically it's not that much different than you would with this one, and maybe due to the placement of the fast chargers it might be the same as you would with this one. Another ability of the Y long range all-wheel drive over this one is the battery chemistry. And I know I talked this one up in the skies, and this one doesn't seem to be a problem in the winter, but if this car is cold soaked, it will charge slower than an NCA battery that you find in the Model Y long range and the Model Y performance. These batteries have cobalt, and cobalt is the main ingredient that helps the batteries be able to accept the charge at low temperatures. This car will probably perform worse in charging tests, especially until it is heated up. And this car will heat up the battery slower than the long range and the performance due to having one motor. And the motor is what Tesla uses to heat the battery. It can run them in an inefficient way to create waste heat, and the waste heat is put into the battery. And when you have one motor, you have half the heating power, which seems perfect for the BYD battery that just overheats instead of cold gating. So this LFP battery is kind of out of the norm, I would say, because the cattle battery will cold gate, which means it would charge slower because it's not able to give the battery sufficient heating for charging. Okay, I have talked about the benefits and the drawbacks of this car, and the benefits of and the drawbacks of the Model Y long range, which is the main competitor if you're looking at Tesla vehicles. And it's not really a competitor because this one is much cheaper. So it'll be more, it will be better to compare this car to other cars like the ID4s that you get at this price, because you can get an ID4 at this price, but you won't get in Norway and maybe in Europe, but at least in Norway you won't get the amount of equipment in a ID4 at this price. And of course this is because Tesla is at the price war. They have lowered their margins to sell more cars, so it's difficult to compete. And this might change. This video might be less relevant if the prices change from competitors in the future. I just have to applaud this car. Okay, so this is a pretty steep hill with ice. I've gotten a message that it's very icy outside. Not in the Tesla, but from someone I know. And they say it's very slippery, but I don't notice too much of that due to the studded tires. Because it's ice. Anyways, I'll just go over the final stats right now, since we are actually closing in on our destination. 470 kilometers driven. We have used 74 kilowatt hours of energy. The battery of this car is 60 kilowatt hours gross capacity, a little bit less usable, but yeah, that's a frame of reference for how much we have used in terms of full batteries. So we used one full battery and a little bit more to drive this stretch of 470 kilometers, and that makes sense with the WLTP being 455 kilometers. So that's what you are supposed to get on one full charge. Of course, we are not close to the WLTP since we have driven up and down, cold conditions, slippery roads, etc. And we also have studded tires, which doesn't really help. But our average efficiency has been 159 watt-hour per kilometer. That's a pretty insane efficiency for an SUV. You can translate it to all the other measurements that you use in the States and in your country, and you can see that it's super efficient. 159 watt-hour per kilometer for this entire stretch. 470 kilometers and 74 kilowatt hours of energy used. So impressed by this car, and this test is perfect to show how it is for daily driving, especially in Norwegian conditions. Of course, in other countries you have higher speed limits, and since you have highways, this is not really a highway. This is, but it's the main road from Oslo to Bergen, so it's still a large one in this case. Yeah, so I did make a review and I said go for the rear-wheel drive one if you can live with rear-wheel drive. In this video I'm going to change my opinion. I'm going to say that consider making the compromise of rear-wheel drive, even though you thought you needed all-wheel drive in the first place. And yeah, consider making the compromise to get this awesome battery at this awesome price. Of course, all-wheel drive is needed for some, and this still stands, and that's still my opinion, that if you feel like you need all-wheel drive and you are maybe you think you will regret the purchase of the rear-wheel drive, sure, just go for it, peace of mind, but it is more expensive and you don't get the awesome BYD blade battery. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for staying along this entire journey, and you will see more videos on this fantastic offering from Tesla.
If you're going to order a Tesla, please use my referral if you're able to. It will always give you a benefit, even though the benefit changes all the time. Right now it's a 3-month free trial of enhanced autopilot, which gives you automatic lane changes and some other stuff as well. Anyways, I would really appreciate if you want to use my referral. It doesn't increase your price, it just gives you a free benefit. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more videos like this and videos that are not like this, you can subscribe to this channel. I see a lot of people that watch my videos that don't subscribe, so please leave any feedback in the comments and I'll try to improve.